Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the third day of March. Can't believe it, 2024. And I have two readings, one from the Old Testament, one from the New. And here's the Old Testament reading. It's from Proverbs, one of my favorite Proverbs. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. And from James, the letter of James, but the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. The Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew's Gospel, is a teaching tool for the first generation of converts who couldn't hear the teaching of Jesus firsthand or from someone who was with Jesus during his years of teaching and healing. The early church had to find a new teaching tool for new converts to the way, as it was called. The eyewitnesses were dying off. How now would new members learn the core teachings of Jesus? Church leaders put together the best and most central of Jesus' teachings and required new members to memorize the whole thing. It's what we call the Sermon on the Mount. It's 3 chapters in Matthew. At the very beginning of the collection of teachings, new members memorized the Beatitudes. And this is an outline of a process of becoming a child of God. It's not a laundry list of the kinds of people who are blessed. It's an outline of a spiritual process. I'm not going to go through the whole process. In some ways, it's similar to the process of coming to terms with change. Anyway, the Beatitudes say, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who grieve, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, who put God's will ahead of their own, like Moses and Jesus did, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Being a peacemaker was the pinnacle of the process. In the first 200 years of the Christian church, it was pretty much assured that new followers would be persecuted, either by the Jews or by the Romans, for being a peacemaking child of God. The next blessed statement was, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake," that is, for your right relationship with God and with other human beings, "for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." The end or goal of the process outlined in the Beatitudes was to become a peacemaker and therefore to be called a child of God. Why was peacemaking so important? When followers of Jesus went about planting and nurturing peace, they were doing what their spiritual parent was known to do. Like parent, like child. You could tell who was a child of God because they were a chip off the old block. They were busy doing the same work God would do. They were working tirelessly for peace. As the letter of James says, these peacemakers were pure, peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. All of these are traits that could be ascribed to God, their spiritual parent. But we have a translation problem when it comes to the English word peace. Peace means, and I looked it up, freedom from disturbance, tranquility, or a state of being in which there is no war. When translating the biblical text into English, peace really is just too wimpy a word. Translating the Hebrew word shalom into the English word peace is like trying to pour a gallon of cider into a half-cup measuring cup. A lot gets lost in the translation. Jesus and his followers all knew Hebrew. They understood the weightiness of the Hebrew word shalom. Shalom was both a greeting and a parting blessing. Its meaning goes beyond the mere absence of conflict or war. It encompasses an inner sense of completeness and wholeness. In the Torah, specifically in Exodus 21 and 22, the word shalom appears 14 times. And these passages discuss material loss, theft, and restitution. When someone causes harm or loss, the injured party is considered incomplete, and the responsible party is then instructed to make it good, to restore, or to make full restitution. The ancient Hebrew meaning of shalom was to something whole. In Genesis 43, Joseph, who was sold into slavery in Egypt and became the Secretary of Agriculture there, Joseph greets his brothers who have come from their area where they live in the Promised Land, and they are starving to death, and they're looking for grain, which, because of Joseph's efforts, Egypt has in abundance, even though there is a drought, a famine in the land. So the brothers come, Joseph goes to meet them, and he inquires about their health and their father's well-being. The word translated as well-being or are you well is are you in good health? All of those are the word shalom. It encompasses not only physical health, but overall completeness as well. In Hebrew, when you greet someone or bid them farewell, you say shalom. Essentially, you're blessing them with well-being and prosperity. It's a beautiful way to wish someone completeness in any situation. So when you say shalom, you're not saying just hello or goodbye. You're invoking a blessing of inner completeness and well-being upon others. So back to the Beatitudes. If you are a child of God, you are a peacemaker or a shalom maker. But the peacemaker does more than try to quell conflict. As a child of God, you are working to promote people's well-being, their sense of inner completeness or serenity, their wholeness, and their sense of being integrated as individuals. The peacemaker helps others to feel complete, restored, and refreshed. Now, thank you for your time in listening to this presentation. If you find value here, I'd appreciate it if you'd pass it along. And finally, God bless you, stay safe, and shalom.